highest place in the area in the valley, we have a cistern that was able to collect water from the whole summit area. It was this successful in holding water that we can see how high and rich the water was that was being collected.
Water then flowed down into the city through a massive crisscross of channels.
These terracotta pipes would have been covered, tubed, and connected all the way down. These are very, very much like the exact same terracotta pipes we use across the planet 2,000 years later. And we have more than 100 miles of these channels throughout Petra where the water would have been fed into the city very, very slowly.
Hey everybody, Kerby here. I am in Glendive, Montana at the Glendive Dinosaur and Fossil Museum. Please make a trip to come here and visit. You're gonna love this place. They're wonderful people, they do a great job. The museum is extremely well done. Great information, more dinosaur bones, actual dinosaur bones in this museum than the vast majority of museums across the planet. It's worth coming and seeing. And by the way, when you're here, do a dig with them. Maybe next year you can do a dig with us as well if you want to, but you don't need to. You can come out here and Tommy and Martha, they will take you out and you'll dig actual dinosaur bones, clean them up. It's cool, very cool. Now, you saw that video about Petra and that water collection system. Now, Petra is a very special place to me because I was very blessed to be able to go there. Petra was founded about 312 BC, so it's an old city. Now, you won't find the word Petra in the Bible, but the Bible actually does talk about Petra, but there's a different name that it's used. Isaiah 16:1, send the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah, by way of the desert to the mount of the daughter of Zion. Selah is the same as Petra. And there's one more verse that I'll read to you. Check it out. 2 Kings 14:7. He struck down 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt and took Selah by storm and called it Joktheel, which is its name to this day. So it does talk about Petra. It's an old city and it lasted for about 1,000 years. And I think you might have seen it before because it's pretty famous. It's been in some interesting places. Like maybe you remember this winding path. Where did we see that? Well, that was in the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusades. And you can remember that famous scene, they're riding through the horses and then you look up and all of a sudden you see the treasury. Now that treasury, I gotta tell you, man, I was blessed to go there and see that. And it is amazing. I mean, to see this structure that they just carved right into the sandstone, it is amazing. Now, let me show you one clip here where they're walking into that entryway and they come into this big cave where the Nazis are doing their thing. And you know what I'm talking, those of you that saw the movie, they're trying to get the Holy Grail. Well, it doesn't really look like that. I've actually got video of when you go inside there and it's not very big. Let me show you the layout first. It's just a tiny room inside of there. But they make it look so, again, this is that deception thing. Be careful when you watch something, people can take something and make it look one way and it's not really that. Be very careful. But when you look inside there, it's just a small room. Take a look at this video here. You can look from one side to the other and it's not very big. It's just a little old room. Now, there are a couple of things that stood out to me while I was there. Number one, it's a desert. I mean, this is dry, man. This is a dry spot and it's massive. This was a big city. I forget how many thousands. I think they said there were like 30,000 people living there at one time. How much water would be necessary for that 30,000 people? And that's where this ingenious and amazing water collection system comes into play. You can see the pictures here of reservoirs. I mean, they collected every drop of water that they could and funneled them down into reservoirs, into cisterns. And then they had carved these little gullies that they would cover up with a ceramic tile so that the evaporation wouldn't take place and lose all the water. And they would run the water throughout the city. I mean, 30,000 people living here off of spring water, rainwater. It was ingenious and amazing. As a matter of fact, they had a collection system, all right? I love this. They had a collection system where the water would run into these tiny pools so that it wouldn't run over the tunnels that they had built and everything, but it would also collect the silt, take the silt out of the water so that the water would be clean when it got there. Take a listen to what this one individual wrote about this ingenious system, right? And these are just country people that don't know a whole lot. One special design of Nabatean tailored internal wall roughness minimized drag resistance. According to modern hydraulic engineering theory and laboratory tests, if intentional from early observations and tests, this hydraulic science development occurred some 2,000 years before its official discovery in Western hydraulic science. So these guys were able to adjust the wall roughness so that the water flow would be at a very specific level, because if it was too much, it wouldn't work. If it was too little, it was too much. And they figured this out 2,000 years before it was discovered by us smart folk. Now, why is this a cultural responder? Because I want you to understand, we have been impacted by the way the world depicts human beings. We are depicted now as we're getting so much more intelligent. We came from these ape-like creatures that were grunting and groaning and trying to figure out how to do things. And now here we are, we're geniuses. We can do smartphones and computers. And those poor old people in the past, they were just dumb. That is not what we see in the world around us. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite speakers when I first started in ministry was a guy named Don Chittick. And if you can find his book, The Puzzle of Ancient Man, I would highly recommend you read it, because he goes through some amazing finds of how intelligent man really was. And one last tiny thing for you. In the background, you can see a scale model of the Grand Canyon. And one section up there is called a red wall limestone. A good friend, he's a geologist, and he told me that this red wall limestone that we see here in the Grand Canyon is the exact same sandstone that's in Petra. Wow, I wonder if there's evidence for a global flood. Same stone all the way around the globe. You find it all over the place. So make sure to come to Glendive and visit the Glendive Dinosaur and Fossil Museum. Let's stay bold.